Last week we talked about going from the 5 chord to the 1 chord. So today we're going to talk about the rest of it. We're going to talk about playing over the 1 chord and the 4 chord, and I'm going to show you 2 licks that somehow magically work over both of the chords in the progression. So here's what it's going to sound like. So key A. Progression's going through again. So here's the second lick to the 4 chord. So the licks themselves, we have this repeating one. And then we have this thing. Bonus points if you can tell me who played that first. It wasn't me. Anyways, these both work super well over this A chord and this D chord. So we're gonna kind of dive in to what's going on. I'll just show them kind of a lick at a time and break them down. And yeah, we'll hopefully know what's going on by the end of this. We'll just start breaking down this first lick. There's kind of 2 reasons I really like these. One is the obvious reason that they work well over both chords. But I also think they're easy to find. And when I'm soloing and improvising, one of the shapes I use the most is kind of our like bar chord box shape. It's where the minor pentatonic's out if we think about where our root note is. If we're playing in the key of A, right, we have our root note here on the 5th fret. And that octave, that higher root, is our A note here on the 7th fret. So how I'm starting this lick is I'm thinking this position, and then I'm putting my ring finger on that A note. And I'm just sliding, I'm picking it once, sliding down, and then sliding back in. And that's going to kind of be half of the repeating motif in this lick. And then the second half is I'm barring either on the 7th fret or the 5th fret. And I'm using my chicken picking fingers over here. And then, yeah, just either keeping that barred or barring right there on the 5th fret. And that's the B string, the G string and the B string. So doing the pick and slide, and then the chicken pick. And when you're first learning it, it's great to just go back and forth. And go super slow. And then as you kind of pick up speed, you can start to alternate or kind of just randomize how you're picking the double stop portions. If you heard in that intro section, there wasn't really a rhyme or reason to how I'm doing it. I'm just kind of doing what sounds good to me. So yeah, you can kind of move back and forth is what I'm saying. You can hang out on one side before you go to the other and vice versa. So that's the first lick. It's super simple, and I like it because, like I said, it's easy to find and it's easy to move. So if we were playing in the key of C, same thing. We know our roots right here. Anyways, you get the idea. So that's lick 1. I was in the middle of editing this and realized that I completely forgot to explain why it is that this works so well over both of these chords. So I'm just gonna take a quick moment here and explain why this works over both the 1 chord, that number, 1 chord, and the 4 chord. And really quickly, since I'm back on camera, I just wanted to do a quick plug for my new Patreon account. I just recently started it. All the tabs and the backing tracks for these lessons are going to be going up over there. So it's a great platform if you're looking for obviously for the tabs for these videos, but also the backing track so that you can practice these licks in the context of an actual song kind of over and over and over again and really get them under your fingers. I will also be uploading extra lessons onto Patreon, not super regularly, but maybe one a month, maybe one every other month, something like that. So yeah, if you feel so inclined, go over and check that out. But yeah, for now, let's talk about why this works over the 1 chord and the 4 chord. So thinking about how this works over the A chord, when we're playing over an A, we're sliding in and out of our root. So we kind of always have that home bass sounding. Right? If we were just to play it over the 1 chord, the A in this case, landing back on that A is a safe bet. And then we're just adding those double stop grabs above it. But that landing back on that root every time kind of gives it that resolve, which makes it work so well over the A chord. And then when we think about just this same lick but over the D chord, the way I think about this fitting is this is our D shape, right? It's an A-shaped chord, but we're playing a D, so we're up here on the 5th fret. So that first bar, if we're barring all 3 of those strings, right there on the 7th fret, that's just your D triad. And then when we drop that whole step and grab this double stop here, that's kind of giving us that flat 7 sound for the D chord. So that's just a kind of a brief overview, I guess you could say, of why this works over both the 1 chord and the 4 chord. So this is also right out of this shape. So A major, bar chord, so we're just kind of outlining these 3 notes of that triad, and we're adding in what would be like the 4th of A, which is a D note. And he's kind of using like a jazzy approach in the sense he's using like a pickup note, or he's sliding in to the target note that he wants to hit. So that's kind of all he's doing. And the reason this works well over the 4 chord is if we think about our D shape here, or it's kind of like an A shape chord, but we're playing a D. We have this note, which is the 2 of D. Then we have our actual root, which is the D. Then we have the flat 7 of D. Then we have our 5th of D. Yeah, so he's kind of outlining those notes within like a D, over a D chord. So the exact same shape will work very well regardless of whether you're playing an A in this case, which is the 1 chord, or a D, which is the 4 chord. As hopefully you can kind of hear in that example that I played, where it works kind of over both chords there. And then same thing with this. If we're moving this to the key of C, we can just basically take exactly the same pattern that we've learned and just transpose it now to wherever we want. So as far as what's actually going on in the second lick, I mentioned that we're kind of targeting the chord notes, but we're sliding in from the 4th to the 5th fret on that B string, and then I'm picking 7, 5, 7 on that G string. Actually, I'm not. I'm picking 7, 5, and then sliding back into the 7th. And then picking 5, 7, sliding into the 5th, and then sliding in, picking 7, 5, and then sliding back into 7 on the D string. and then we just kind of repeat it in reverse. So it's... So progression is going back to the 4, back to the 1. Not easy. All right, we're starting over. So A again. That's all we got for today. As always, I appreciate you guys checking in, and yeah, I think that's it. Cheers. So before we go any further, I'm out of battery.